Hello, this is Archie Dunlop with Talking Astrology with Archie on Friday, April the 7th, 2023. The moon is moving into Scorpio, and Scorpio is one of the worst signs for the moon to be in. The moon is exalted in Taurus and it's fallen in Scorpio, the opposite sign. Worse still, the moon is in early Scorpio, and the degree of maximum fall for Scorpio is 3 degrees, and that's pretty much where the moon is now. So when the moon is in Scorpio, people are emotional, but not really in a pleasant way. They're brooding, they are vindictive, they are unpleasant, sometimes unhappy, dwelling in the past, finding it really quite difficult to be positive. So I'm afraid that this moon in Scorpio influence is going to permeate the day. Now, one person who's recently been in the news who does have a moon in Scorpio is Boris Johnson. And in fact, he has the moon in early Scorpio. Now, I don't really know a great deal about Boris Johnson. You know, he's supposed to be an optimistic, happy person, always thinking the best of the situation. Yet, his moon in Scorpio suggests that he has a dark side. There are things he perhaps thinks and does which maybe aren't very pleasant, and maybe he's not quite as nice as his impression gives, but I think we all suspected that anyway. Now, Boris is or was very happy in one particular part of the world. Yes, that part of the world is Kiev. Here's a BBC web page from about a year ago. You know, Johnson seemed really happy when he visits Kiev, and at the same time, the people in Kiev seem happy when he visits. You know, there's Boris Johnson, there's Zelensky, there's lots of men with guns. But, you know, I've seen other videos when he went to Kiev, when, you know, the people in Kiev seemed really, really happy to see him. So maybe, you know, Kiev is his kind of place, which makes one wonder why. And this is where astrology comes in, and I'm going to show you something really cool. So let's turn to Boris's horoscope. So Boris's horoscope, let's see. Okay, so Boris's horoscope. Is there. Boris Johnson's horoscope. He was born on June the 19th, 1964, 2 p.m. in New York. And there is his moon in Scorpio. You can see it's right at the beginning of the sign. Now, that's moon in Scorpio. As I said, it gives a completely different impression from the rest of his chart. You know, there's his 4 planets in Gemini, you know, ducking and diving, speaking off the cuff, sometimes making a fool of himself. But certainly never lost for words. And moon in Scorpio, something really different. But I'm not today so interested in the psychological aspect of a moon in Scorpio. I'm interested in the geographical aspect of it. So there's a technique in astrology called astrocartography, where you can recast the chart for a particular location. So, for example, he seems happy in Kiev. So why would he be happy in Kiev? And why do people in Kiev seem so happy to see him? So there we go. Let's relocate it. No longer New York, now Kiev. Look, the moon is exactly on the midheaven in his chart in Kiev. The moon is the public. The moon on the midheaven in astrology means being able to relate well to the public. So he has this point, and when he was born, I think you could have almost said that Kiev was his kind of place, because in Kiev, not only has he got the moon on the midheaven, but he's got a Sun-Venus conjunction on the descendant. And we can see this when we do an astrocartography for Boris Johnson, and we're going to set it for Europe. This is Boris Johnson's astrocartography, and there is the moon on the midheaven, and it cuts, there's Sun and Venus, and they cut exactly on Kiev. And so Boris Johnson's moon in Scorpio is a really good illustration of how astrocartography can work, how you can use an astrological technique to show where someone is going to hit prominence. And Kiev was important to Boris Johnson. It was just before his premiership collapsed. He focused a lot on the Ukraine war, and he encouraged Ukraine to keep fighting. He encouraged them not to do a deal with Russia. And perhaps that's the dark side of Moon in Scorpio. Moon in Scorpio is about death and destruction and whatever. And one wonders what would have happened if Boris had been more enthusiastic about Russia's talks with the Ukraine, the Istanbul talks and so forth. What would have happened? What would Ukraine be like now? Okay, well, you could argue a lot of people would be still alive who are now dead. So maybe that's some aspect of it. So that's enough about Boris Johnson. So let's now talk about today's astrology. So here is Friday. This is the chart for today. And as I've said, the moon is in Scorpio, conjunct the South Node. The South Node is about the past. So people are going to be very hung up on memories. They're going to be stuck in an emotional morass, thinking that the past is better than the future. And, we could all fall into that trap. We're going to be brooding, or the people around us are going to be brooding. And matters are made perhaps worse by the fact that the moon is making a trine to Mars. So, when the moon is making a trine to Mars, that's a lot of energy. Mars is an energy planet, but it's in Cancer. Moon is in Cancer. So, yes, we can get things done, but why? What's our motivation? So we have to think kind of carefully about that. But okay, let's be positive about it. Provided we can distance ourselves from our subjectivity, from our emotional biases, then yes, we can take successful action. I mean, there is in fact a Grand Trine here. Moon is in Scorpio, trine Mars in Cancer, trine Saturn in Pisces. So we really must use our energy constructively. That's really important, and we mustn't allow ourselves to get too emotional. Particularly today when there's not much air in the charts. Pluto's in Aquarius, but Pluto is always is a slow moving sign. There's nothing else in air signs. The air signs of Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So that can be quite suffocating. People are not going to have the flexibility to think through what they're doing. They're going to be just more stuck. We might just feel as if we just can't breathe. We need to open the window. That's the problem when we can't open the window because the air is stagnant. So just be aware of that. So I think that's the main theme for today. Let's just have a look. What else do I find? Okay. Well, Apollon is on the Mars-Saturn midpoint. Apollon is quite an artistic hypothetical planet. And so with Mars-Saturn, Mars-Saturn is about death, destruction, whatever. From an artistic point of view, there might be a Gothic feel for today. We might enjoy reading and watching videos and that kind of stuff that are of a kind of dark, macabre sense. And if we're an artist, our production might be pretty grim, but at the same time, possibly quite interesting. Also, I suppose, on a positive note, Venus is sextile Neptune, so that does gravitate towards artistic sensitivity. So I think it's a good day for artists and perhaps writers and those who are creating things, but creating things which are kind of deep. For people just creating, I don't know, chocolate box pictures, not so good. But if you're into things that are dark and graves and all that kind of stuff, it should be an okay day. Now, as far as the 12 signs of the zodiac are concerned, because of that moon in Scorpio, is putting such a damper on the day, don't expect me to be too positive when I go through the 12 signs. So, Aries, 3 stars, getting stronger, but still stuck in the mud. Taurus, 2 stars, partners have the wrong idea. Gemini, 1 star, a suffocating atmosphere. Yeah, that's because there's no air in the except Pluto. There's just nothing there. Can't breathe. Cancer. Now, Cancer is the only star sign that I give 5 stars to. Things are flowing your way, even if it's a river of mud. Leo, 2 stars. You're cramping someone's style. Shut up and listen. Virgo, 2 stars. Your words speak the past, not the future. Libra, 2 stars. Money isn't where you think. Scorpio, 3 stars. You're powerful, but your feelings could be misplaced. Yes, Scorpio is powerful because the moon is in mutual reception to Mars. Mars is in the moon's sign. The moon is in Mars's sign. They're all trine Saturn. So Scorpios are powerful, but if you're a Scorpio, your feelings could mess things up for you. Sagittarius, the less said, the better. Capricorn, someone needs to be put back on the path. Aquarius, if it's wrong, it can't be made right. Pisces, where there's spirituality, there's delusion. Oh, I should say that, Pisces gets, I think, 2 stars. Aquarius gets, going back to Aquarius, I forgot to say the stars. I think Aquarius is 3 stars and Capricorn is 3 stars. So those are my readings for the 12 signs. So it's not great, but that's because the moon is in Scorpio. And it really doesn't help. It just doesn't make things good. It's not a good place for the moon to be. So as far as alternative forecasts are concerned, I cast the I Ching as usual. And the first hexagram I got was hexagram 39. Now, hexagram 39 is about obstruction. Something is stuck. And we might try very hard to remove this thing, at least at the beginning of the day, but it's not going to be easy. It's going to be almost impossible. And probably the best thing to do is turn back, accept that we haven't got the resources to sort it out. And that's fine. There is absolutely no disgrace, because why waste your time on something that is just not going to work out? At least that's the beginning of the day. But this hexagram does move to hexagram number 8, which is about union. And there is a suggestion there that if we are faced with a situation that we can't deal with, that we can get help from outside. We can use our leadership and we can go out and see what other people can do for us and see how we can bring people together around a common problem and sorted out. Yeah, it can be done. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not guaranteeing success. But towards the end of the day, we might see the breakthrough we're looking for. And it's all about handling people in the right way. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say for today. And I will talk to you tomorrow on Saturday.